Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Comic Book Nostalgia. I'm CB Nostalgia, and we have our review for episode 18 of Young Justice Phantoms, Beyond the Grip of the Gods. Well, we got another new episode of Young Justice Phantoms this week, and not only that, it kicked off a new arc. This one is going to focus on Rocket, a character who has been underserviced in the series, and will see us head off into outer space and join the forces of the new gods. Let's take a couple minutes to break down the episode, talk about what happened, and what's actually developed with Rocket. Now, before we do this though, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. Also, the big giveaway. We're going to give away this Oculus Quest 2 at 50,000 subscribers. All you need to do to get in on our giveaway is be a subscriber and leave us a comment. Also, while you're at it, make sure you check out our line of Stay Whelmed merchandise down below. It's a great way for you and your friends to feel the Aster, crash the mode, and stay whelmed, all while supporting this channel. We've also got quite a bit of other merchandise there worth checking out, so make sure you dig in. Well, this second half of Young Justice Phantoms is moving really fast. Getting 3 episodes to kick off really closed out Calder's arc pretty quick, and now we've headed off to space with Rocket in a really great new episode. Now, we're going to break this down into the sort of storyline format we've been doing in the past, and some of the developments this week are major reveals, so if you haven't seen this show yet, make sure you go watch it and then come back. Now, this week's episode sees Rocket head off to New Genesis for a hero summit, and she brings along Forager and the newest member of the Justice League, Jay Garrick, with her. There's confirmation of our second Flash. Now, this summit is meant to organize the Justice League, the New Gods, and the Green Lanterns, which is one heck of a good guy alliance. We actually find out in the credits that this is a much bigger coordinating effort than we could have ever imagined, and they're really setting up somewhat of an intergalactic alliance for heroes in the forces of good versus Darkseid, so I think we're seeing a lot of the big pieces get put into place. Now, once they arrive, they are met by Orion, Lightray, and Highfather and Mother. It's pretty clear that the royalty of Supertown is in full support of this conference, despite Orion being his fairly typical salty self. We actually get to know Orion pretty good in this episode, both the good and the bad, and it's a fairly good service to his character. Now, during this initial gathering, another bug, actually a forager from another tribe, breaks into a New God storage facility and steals an aged power source. This causes our team, along with Orion, to leap into action to assist in the investigation. Our forager is actually able to determine which tribe this person is from. It is the Mountain Tribe, so they actually set out to meet the tribe and try to recover the object. Although the bugs are initially resistant, they are receptive to returning the device once they realize its danger, but it's too late. During the negotiations, some rather enthusiastic larvae, their younglings, run off with the device while the negotiations are taking place, and it's actually sabotaged by an unseen enemy. This leads to one of the most contentious and uncomfortable face-offs in the whole series. With the children unable to control the device, it actually harms Orion, who immediately loses total control and goes into berserker mode. We actually see Rocket try to contain him. It's no small effort, but we really see this dark side of Orion. Clearly, we see how this persona can embrace his apocalyptic heritage, and there's no doubt it scares and concerns Rocket as they move forward in the negotiations. Now, as far as her personal life, we actually get a really great look into it. Her life as a mom is tough, and in case you didn't know, her child has autism. I'm actually the uncle to an autistic child, and I felt like this was very grounded and a great real-world representation of what it's like for some parents. Not all autistic kids are even remotely the same, but this does give us an idea of the daily challenges these parents face, and how Rocket is very much like the rest of us when it comes to the regular world. Now, we do spend some time on Apocalypse this week and get a look into what's going on with Darkseid's Forces of Chaos. This week's episode actually reveals that Megan's brother is in the employ of Darkseid, rooting out potential traitors. But the time seems to have come for him to earn his boon from Darkseid, allowing him to fulfill his own greedy desires. We actually see him team up with 2 other villains. The first is Mantis. That was the evil bug we met last season, and he was part of the promotional art. Thanks to many of you fans for pointing that out. It totally went over my head. But the second person is the mysterious time traveler. We will get to a full reveal on who this is, but we're going to hold off because the Superboy story, which we haven't talked about yet, has an absolutely wild tie to this, and I want to hold that reveal mostly just for shock value. Let's just say I lost it. There's clearly a lot of stuff going on with Darkseid, and his plans are often hard to understand and uncover, but he's clearly manipulating all players involved, and I don't suspect he'll ever grant anybody what he promises. Hopefully, Magan's brother eventually gets what he deserves. Now this brings us to Superboy, and poor Superboy is absolutely losing it. This prison is crushing his mind, and the hallucinations he's seeing are egging him on and making it worse. Most of this episode is his father, Lex Luthor, which we all know is not the best influence on his character. Now fortunately, eventually Connor meets a helpful visitor in this realm, and the stranger reveals a ton about what's going on. Now first and foremost, he confirms this is the Phantom Zone. And what Connor is seeing is hallucinations, actually phantom hallucinations. He also confirms that all the full-color people that we are seeing are those hallucinations and not real. This is pretty interesting to me, but more importantly, let's rewind the tape a little bit. This is where we saw Wally West in that same form, so I think we actually got some confirmation this week that is indeed Wally West trapped in the Phantom Zone. I mean, Connor, Phantom Girl, and the Stranger all look just like Wally, so I think this mystery is getting much closer to being solved. Who is the Stranger? Well, honestly, this is the big reveal of the whole episode, because the Stranger reveals his name. His name is Drew Zod. That's right, it's General Zod. The secret code has been broken, and clearly this year's titles are going to spell out Invitation to Kneel Before Zod. And of course, this brings us to our time-traveling villain. Now during that segment, we actually met this person, and I'm not sure how they're developing this time traveler, but his name is Lore Zod, Drew Zod's son, creating quite the interesting dynamic. Now, if you know him in the comics, his arc is quite different, and he's typically an ally to Kryptonians and the Kent specifically, so I have no idea what's going on here. That's a pretty crazy move, and I look forward to see what's happening with this particular character. Overall, another great episode. The time and space and the exploring of New Genesis was a great time. We are also seeing so many pieces of a larger battle going into place. Orion's own issues appear to be paralleling Rocket's, which I believe was going to create an interesting connection eventually between the two characters. Jay Garrick was a nice throwback to the classic comics, and Forager and his people was something really fun to explore and had some interesting and educational undertones. Overall, I'm going to give this episode an 8.5 out of 10. It was a lot of fun. I am a huge fan of the New Gods and enjoyed seeing Supertown quite a bit, and I can't wait to see what the rest of this arc brings us. This alliance between the forces of good is going to be something pretty interesting. Kind of like a massive intergalactic Justice League. So what did you guys think? How did you like the first episode of Rocket's arc of Young Justice Phantoms? And did you realize her home and personal life was as challenging as her professional life? Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you hit like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you're not getting any updates. Peace.